Hey, welcome back to Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. Another beautiful winter day up here in the mountains of Colorado. And, making some progress on the house. Um, at the time of this recording, I'm in the process of talking to a couple of different contractors, waiting to hear back, just trying to get them over to the house to look at it and give me an estimate for the work I'd like to have done. So that's coming along, that's moving forward, that's super exciting. But I mentioned in the last video that I had a little story about when I went to Chicago that I wanted to share with you about the Italian Consulate. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Digital Nomad Visa. Okay, the Digital Nomad Visa. You might hear up on the tree up there, got a little downy woodpecker that's pecking on the tree. Did you hear him up there? Yeah, so they're beautiful birds, little red patch on their head and then just white and then the beautiful black kind of plaid back. So beautiful bird, but he's busy looking for some food up there. So the Digital Nomad Visa. So I told you guys I went to Chicago before Christmas to hang out with some friends there. They have an early Christmas party every year that I've never been able to go to. So I flew from Arizona up there and hung out for a week and got to spend some good time with my friends and see them. I hadn't seen those guys up there for quite a while, so that was a lot of fun. But I realized after I'd booked my flight that the Italian Consulate in the United States for Colorado, where I live, happens to be in Chicago. So I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to apply for the Digital Nomad Visa. So just to explain a little bit what the Digital Nomad Visa is, if you don't know about it, these types of visas became popular kind of after COVID because what they are, basically, you can stay longer in a country as long as you're not taking jobs away from people in that country. So basically, you have to prove that you've got a job and clients somewhere else, but they say, hey, come live in our country, spend your money here, rent a place, buy food, whatever, and you can stay for up to a year, which is Italy's. It varies by country, but I think usually that's pretty typical. So there's a certain number of requirements you need to go through to qualify for it, and I'll talk about those later. But so I thought, well, that's great. I could come and go as much as I want. I could stay there for a year. I'm self-employed. I have my own business doing website development. So I've had that for many years. So that I thought, for sure, okay, let's do it. So then I looked at their website, and you have to have an appointment to go there and submit your application. And I looked, and their appointments were like 3 months out. They had nothing available for like 3 months. So I was like, damn it, I missed my opportunity. So I'd kind of written it off. Well, then, like a couple of days before I was flying, I was laying in bed and I'm thinking, I wonder if there's any appointments that have opened up. So I jumped online and I looked. Sure enough, the 2 days I get there on a Wednesday and Thursday and Friday both had open appointments. So I booked an appointment for the Thursday morning after I got to Chicago, and I was all excited. I thought, wow, this is great. I'm going to apply for Digital Nomad Visa because just as a normal tourist, as I've mentioned many times before, it's part of the Schengen group is what covers visas in the Europe area. And that's a group of countries that have open borders basically for as far as visas go. So you can just go across the border between Germany and the Czech Republic, for instance. It's loosely the same as the EU. I think there's a couple slight differences, like maybe, what is it? It's like Ireland is not included in it, and what else? One other country, Cyprus, I think. So those, Ireland and Cyprus, are part of the EU, but they're not in the Schengen group. And then there's a few countries that aren't in the European Union, like Norway, Liechtenstein, Iceland, and one other I can't remember right now. But there's 4 countries that aren't in the EU that are in the Schengen group. So anyway, when you go into one of those countries, you can go to all the other ones without showing your passport. There's no border checks or anything. So when you get a visa to come to the Schengen group, it includes all those countries. So as a U.S. resident, going into the Schengen area, I get 90 out of 180 days. So I can stay there for 3 months, then I have to leave for 3 months, then I can come back for 3 months. So, what I was intending was just 3 months early spring, stay back here in Colorado in the summer when it's really nice, and then late fall, go back over to Europe, and 3 months in late fall and early winter. So that's kind of what my plan was. But if I could get the Digital Nomad Visa, I could come and go as much as I want, stay as long as I want. It's good for a year, and you can renew it after a year, I think for up to 5 years, a year at a time. So it seemed like a really great opportunity. So I got the appointment in Chicago. Scrambling that morning to get my application done because there's a bunch of stuff you need to do. And one of the things is you have to be in a certain job. So let me tell you exactly what they say about the visa. So a digital nomad, or they call it a remote worker visa. So if it's a remote worker, that means you work for a company, but you can work in another country. So obviously, like I said, these things came up after COVID when a lot of people found out they could work from home, and a lot of companies opened up to let their employees work from home. So this is what Italy says. The digital nomad remote worker visa is intended for individuals who are not EU citizens and who intend to work remotely while living in Italy. The visa is only available to highly specialized workers whose careers require or exceed requirements listed in this article. It's including careers that require post-secondary degrees or at least 3 years professional training or experience. Please see page 4 for qualifying professions. So this was one of the requirements that was the most confusing for me. I wasn't quite sure how to prove that. Then I'll talk about that a little bit later. But there's a couple things you need to do. You need to prove that you make a certain amount of money, because they don't want you to become a liability there or get broke there or whatever. So you have to show that you have a certain amount of money and that you make money. You have to get health insurance, that's private health insurance, or buy an Italian policy that covers you, because they don't want you to be a liability on their health services that are within the country. You have to prove that you're a U.S. citizen, because this program for digital nomads is specific. This particular program is specific for U.S. Residents, U.S. citizens, or residents. They may have other programs for other countries, I don't know. But this was one I was looking at. You had to show a rental deed or a lease deed for where you're going to stay in Italy, which obviously I bought a house, so that's not an issue. I can show that. Proof of legal income. Proof of at least 6 months prior work experience in the field, and then pay a fee, and then, and then you leave your passport with the application, so that when it's approved, they will put your visa or their visa in your passport, physically put it in there. It takes 2 pages, and then you can show that when you come into the country. So I was all excited, right? Really super stoked. And I had a question about the profession thing. I didn't really know about that, but I was staying with my buddy Lefty in Chicago, and he had the day off. We were planning on hanging out, going to some museums. So first thing in the morning, we go downtown. It happens to be one of the coldest days yet of the year in Chicago. Freezing. I mean, the wind was blowing. It's humid. It's cold. Oh my God, it was so cold. I mean, I brought my camera and I was going to record a bunch of it, but it was too cold to record even. I couldn't take my gloves off, and I was just getting frostbite standing outside in the wind. So I didn't record anything there. But we get there. I show up for my appointment. We're scrambling, to get a passport size photo, get some photocopies, get a money order, all this stuff. So I show up for my appointment. I sit down. Literally like a minute later, the guy calls my name, and I walk up and I said, "Hey, I couldn't find this anywhere on your website, but about how long is it taking for these applications to be processed?" And I'm thinking, I don't know, a week, 10 days, couple weeks. He turns to his coworker and he says, "What are we at, like 90, 120 days now?" The guy's like, "Yeah, 120 days. So 4 months, 3 to 4 months to process this application, which, if that were the only issue, no big deal. But I have to submit my passport with the application. So that means for 3 or 4 months, they're holding my passport. I can't leave the country. I can't travel to Italy. I've got a trip I'm leaving on very shortly here to South America. I couldn't do that. So I basically just told the guys, like, "Well, I can't do that. I need my passport." He's like, "Well, okay, you can't apply." And I said, "Okay, well, can I apply in Italy when I get to Italy?" "Nope. You have to apply at the Italian Consulate in the United States that represents your state, which is the one in Chicago. So after all of that, I wasn't even able to apply. So, I was kind of disappointed. And I talked to some of my European friends because friends, as Americans, we're really lucky. We don't need visas for a lot of countries. I think Vietnam is one of the ones I needed for. A lot of them you can just get when you show up. You get a visa on arrival. But I had to apply for the Vietnamese one for sure in advance. I had to mail my passport to San Francisco or something. But I talked to some European friends, and they said, that's crazy. Why would they need your passport? It's just sitting on a desk for 3 months. What they do is they apply, keep their passport, give them a photocopy of it, make sure that they qualify. And then when they get a notice that they're approved, they show up at the consulate, submit their passport, and either they can put the visa in that day or it takes a day or two, and then they go back and pick it up afterwards. So, that makes perfect sense to me. But, so I don't really know how I'm going to apply for this because it's very seldom that I'm in the country for 3 or 4 months without a trip outside of the country. So I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe the digital nomad isn't a viable option for me. I'm not sure. But I just thought it'd be interesting to share that experience with you guys because if I had that opportunity, I think it would be fantastic. It'd make it so much easier. I could come and go when I wanted. If I was over there and I decided something happened at home here as an emergency, I needed to jump on a flight and come back to the United States, I could do that. Whereas right now, I'm just really limited with that 90 days, which again, that's 6 months overall in a year, and that's going to be okay, I think, for a while. 3 months in the spring, 3 months in the fall. I think that's going to be okay for me. Or let's say spend 3 months in one summer and then go over there and spend 3 months in the winter. I think it'd be really nice. In fact, the Winter Olympics are in Turin and Milan, I think next year, in 2026. So it might be kind of cool to go over in the winter and cruise out and see some of the Winter Olympic events. So, that's a time I might spend in the winter there. So who knows? We'll see what happens. Maybe this next winter I spend a little time in Italy and then I come back in the following summer. We'll see. It's all kind of up in the air, but that was one of the things where I was like, oh my God, an appointment opened up. This is meant to be. This is definitely meant to be. And then as it turned out, it was not meant to be. So anyway, that was one of the interesting things that kind of came up this last couple months. And I'll just roll with punches. We'll adjust and keep going. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you appreciated that little story, little experience. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. Click on the subscribe button. Click on the little bell to get notifications. If you haven't signed up for a membership or looked at those yet, please click on the join button on my YouTube channel. And you'll see I have a little video on there introducing what the memberships are about. And if you like my content and if you enjoy following along, please take a look at that video and see if you might want to become a membership because there's a bunch of benefits to that and some stuff that's a little bit different too, some other content that I'm going to start including too. So would love it if you guys joined. And once again, thanks so much for being a part of my YouTube channel and Mike's Grand Italian Adventure. And like I mentioned actually in that membership video, the name of my channel is actually Around the World with Mike. So the Italian Grand Adventure is just one part of my channel, which is, I think, what most people are interested in at this time. But I'm going to start adding a little bit more content about some other trips. Like I mentioned, I'm going to South America, and I'll put a few videos up there. Since there's not really much happening on the Italian front right now, I'm just kind of in a holding pattern, waiting to hear from contractors. But subscribe, join, grab a membership, and keep following along. Thanks a lot.